Welcome to the Year 2 Phonics presentation. We hope you find it useful. Please contact your class teacher or myself, Mrs. Pileggi, if you have any further questions when the PowerPoint has ended. We hope this presentation helps you to understand the terminology we use and words that the children are familiar with. It will be explaining a little more about how we teach phonics at Wharton Infant School. We'll talk about the actual Phonics Screening Check coming up next term, and we'll provide you with some ideas of how you can support your child at home. So why do we teach phonics? Phonics is a way of teaching children to read and spell skillfully. It might be different to how you learnt to read at school. It's really important that you have an understanding of the terminology we use and how to pronounce the sounds correctly. The children can become confused if we're teaching the letter S, for example, and then at home they're still hearing the letter S. We teach the children what sound each individual letter makes, what the combination of letters sound like, and then how to break down a word and blend the sounds together to read the whole word. It's a really important skill, particularly when the children are learning to read unfamiliar words. Now I'll talk you through some of the definitions we use in school. You may have heard your children talking about phonemes. These are the smallest unit of sound in a word. For example, a, d, k, f, th. Graphemes are a combination of letters which represent a phoneme. For example, f, th, w. The word segmenting means sounding out and breaking down the individual sounds in order to read or spell it. If I was going to segment the word cat, it would sound like this, k, a, t. Blending is then when you blend the segmented sounds together to read the whole word, k, a, t, cat. A digraph is a combination of two letters which make one sound. You can have digraphs with double consonants, such as l, sh, k, and digraphs containing a vowel sound, such as a, e, oi. A trigraph, which is also referred to as special friends in school, is a combination of three letters which make a sound. For example, I, j, air. A split digraph are where the letters don't sit together. For example, in the word make, the A sound is made by the A and E, and we will refer to this as a split digraph. Other split digraphs include A, I, E, O, and U. Below is a list of words for you to have a go at working out how many phonemes are in each word. Here are the answers below. You can see the words broken into sound buttons. I'll go through them with you. The word shelf, sh, l, f, shelf. Dress, d, s, dress. Think, th, n, k, think. String, st, n, string. Sprint, int, sprint. Flick, flick. It can feel odd if you're not familiar with this way of reading at first, but it really helps the children if you know how to pronounce the different sounds. There is a lot for the children to learn, which is why your support at home is so important. Some of the sounds can be represented in more than one way. Below is a table which shows you the different representations of some of the sounds. As a school, we follow a scheme called Read Write Inc. Our aim is for the children to have completed Read Write Inc. at the end of Year 1, and then they move on to discrete phonics teaching in Year 2. So now we're going to talk more about the Phonics Screening Check. The government announced that all Year 2 children across the country have to take the check in the second half of the autumn term. If the children do not achieve the pass mark, they will take the check again in June at the same time as the current Year 1 children. So what happens during the check? The check is completed on a one-to-one basis with the class teacher who is familiar with the children and their pronunciation of the sounds and words. The check contains 40 words, some real and others made up or alien words. This is to check that the children know how to correctly sound out and blend unfamiliar words. The test takes about 10 minutes, but the children can work at their own pace. The test contains some pseudo words. These are also referred to as nonsense words or alien words. These words will be shown to the children along with a little picture of an alien so they understand this isn't a real word. This is a really good opportunity for children to show that they can segment and blend the words correctly without relying on reading words from memory or sight. Below are some examples. So what is allowed in the test? Children can say the word as they see it, or they can sound it out and then blend it together. They do have to blend the sounds together and give us a final word, which is then the answer we will take. The children are allowed to correct themselves if they make a mistake, and the class teacher will take into account the children's individual pronunciation of the words and sounds. We aren't allowed to give an indication of whether or not the answer is correct, but we can say thank you. Next word, please. What is not allowed? The children can't sound out the word and then not blend it together. We can't accept individual sounds, we need a final word answer. We also can't encourage the children to have another go. And the children can't have several attempts with the teacher and then the teacher just accept one correct pronunciation. In the past, some children have read the alien or nonsense words as real words. For example, they have sounded an alien word out correctly, but then when blending the sounds together, they have altered it into a real word as they think they have made a mistake. The looped handwriting of a K has caused issues in the past, so we ensure children are familiar with the handwritten letters. The children might be unfamiliar with the vocabulary used in the real word check, and so it might alter it into a more familiar word. Some of the alien words with adjacent letters can be misread, so practice at home with sounding out and using sound buttons can help. Sound buttons are where we break the word up into the different sounds by writing them on a grid with lines, so the children can see the sounds separated. You can ask your teacher if you need a bit more support with this. How are the results used? The results from the check are used internally for us to analyse the children's progress and our performance as a school. So how can you help your child at home? Play lots of sound and listening games with your child. Read to and with your child as much as possible and discuss unfamiliar vocabulary. Encourage and praise, get them to have a really good guess. If your child is struggling to decode a word, help them by encouraging them to say each sound in the word from left to right. Blend the sounds by pointing to each one. For example, k in cat, p in pat, in sing, e in bean. Next, move your finger under the word as you say it. Discuss the meaning of words if your child doesn't know what they have read. There are lots of resources and games available online and through different apps. You can just search your Google Play App Store. The website Phonics Play is a useful website to go to with lots of fun and interactive games for the children to access, and it's free. There are more games available on the website below. We hope you found this presentation helpful and informative, and please do not hesitate to contact your class teacher if you have any further questions. They are more than happy to help. Thank you for taking the time to read and listen.